I got a popsicle here in my pocket. Why don't you reach on in and grab it? This is the story of whenever a lifer doing 25 to life tried to get over on me and take advantage of me, but I wasn't going to let that happen. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Grow With Me, Sawyer P, where we grow together, not apart. And today, we're going to talk about an experience I had when I was serving time in Upstate New York State Department of Corrections and Community Supervision in the prison called Oneida Correctional Facility. And I previously uploaded this video, but I deleted it a while back. This is kind of before I had fully committed myself to making prison genre type videos. I wasn't sure if I wanted to put myself out there like that, but I decided to make the decision, and I'm glad I did, to put this type of content out because I enjoy it and I hope you guys enjoy it as well. And it's nice, it's almost therapeutic just getting these types of things off your chest as well, and finding people in the comments and such, that can relate and have been through similar things. It's pretty awesome, It's got a multitude of benefits, and hopefully we can grow this thing. If you guys like this stuff, if you could take the time to like and subscribe, that would be great. I'm obviously trying to grow just like everyone else on here, and who knows, maybe make a side living out of this, who knows, but of course, even if that doesn't happen, I still enjoy doing it regardless. So, and I try to be authentic and real, and genuine, and not fabricate stories or anything, and be totally honest with you guys. So I hope you guys enjoy these. If you like it, please subscribe. Consider subscribing, liking, hitting the notification bell. But I got another thing about that. Something big I promote in life is being your true self, your authentic self, being genuine, being true to who you are. Stay real, stay true, and be you. I say that. I live by that motto. And people will respect you for that. Some people will hate you for it, but some people will love you for it, and you'll attract the right kind of people, into your life. If they don't like you, then they're not your people, If certain people don't like you based off of who you are, who the true you is, then they're not for you. Don't worry about them. There's plenty of other people out there that will vibe and mesh with you, and you stay true to who you are, But let's get into the story. So, this is on my first bid, my first prison term, 2009, 09B2716 was my DIN, my department identification number. That's on your ID card and on your clothes. Your DIN number, your inmate number, 09B, the first two digits are the year you came upstate. So if you have a 00 number, you came up in 2000. If you have a 97 number, you came up in 97, and so on and so forth. So I came up in 09, and guys with older numbers kind of get a level of respect because they've been down, so you see a 81 number or a 76 number, that man, you might not want to play with that man because he's been down a long time and he might be dangerous, you know what I mean? So I'll get a little bit more into the prison DIN numbers. That actually pertains a little bit to this story, but so this sentence was a 1 to 3 year sentence, which is a fairly short sentence. 1 to 3 years seems like a long time, but compared to what a lot of other people got, they call it a skid bid. Some people call it a skid bid in New York, because you can be out in as early as a year if you make your parole board, which I was fortunate enough to make mine, because I was a youthful offender and made my parole board. I was so young, that's probably why I looked like a kid, I looked like a little kid in there, the parole board probably felt bad for me, I'm assuming, even though I hadn't completed my programs yet. They cut me some slack, I was supposed to do ASAT, which is an alcohol and substance abuse treatment program, but they cut me some slack and let me out a little early, but, let me out after a year, but, so, in 2009, You go upstate, as I talked about in the previous video, you go through Oneida Correctional Facility, that's the reception. Once you get classified and they do all their, shave your head, take your, all your vitals, you get your blood work done, get your picture taken, all those different things, fingerprinted. You get assigned to a facility, and within usually anywhere from a week to a month, maybe a little tiny bit over a month. Usually it's not over a month. It's usually 2 to 3 weeks. You're off to your general population facility where you'll be in population there because you're just passing through Elmira. Some people get assigned to Elmira, like max security guys. They go over to the other side, out of reception cell blocks and into the population area. But those are, kind of fewer and far between. But there are guys that do occasionally do that. But so I was assigned to cook chill. Whenever you come through there, they ask you kind of what kind of work you've done in the past, what schooling you've done, and so on and so forth. And I told them I had been a dietary aide in a nursing home, and at that point I'd only worked like fast food, only food type jobs, because I was young still. I was 20, so I hadn't had a lot of work experience, and I'd done like roofing, but most of it was like that nursing home and stuff like that as a dietary aide. But so they assigned me to Oneida, and the reason why I ended up going there, I found out later on, is they have a program called Cook Chill, which is you have outside clearance for that job, and there's a facility there where they make all the prison food for the entire state. From your apple crisp, they make in these bags, to the kosher meats for like the turkey and salami and different things and cheeses that go on sandwiches for like Jewish people and all that, and halal foods for Muslims. I worked in the kosher room. There was actually a rabbi in there. He would pray and bless the food. He was nothing against Jewish people by any means. This guy was kind of a weirdo. He gave off weirdo vibes, but yeah, I worked that. But anyways, that's why I ended up getting assigned to that facility. But a massive downside to Oneida Correctional Facility, which is in Rome, New York. I believe it's Oneida County, but it's in Rome, New York. And a big downside to that facility is it has a sex offender program in it. And a big percentage of that facility are sex offenders, rapists, child molesters, and oops, I'm probably not supposed to use that R word on here, but a lot of those weirdo types were in that facility, which is unfortunate. You don't really want to do your time around those kind of people, but sometimes you don't really have a choice. And there's so many of them. If you get caught hurting one, you can catch new charges. If you get caught hurting one for what their crime is, I've been told you can get a hate crime for it. I don't know how true that is, which kind of is like a level above a normal assault. If they can prove it, you had hate crime intentions behind it, then they can slap you with more time or up your sentencing level, But so like I said, this facility's weird. You're in the yard, and you're very cautious of who you want to talk to and who you want to associate it with. This is my first bid, and I'm wondering, dang, are all facilities like this? But this was kind of an exception. I mean, there are other jails with a sex offender program, but this one had a big program. They had like a whole building designated for sex offender guys. And so while I'm there, you get there, you go to what's called our dorm. That's the reception dorm. You go through like an orientation where they kind of explain the facility, how it's run, the programs they have to offer, so on and so forth. And then you get sent over to either a regular dorm. The sex offender guys go to the sex offender dorm. And I got sent to basically a regular general population dorm where, there were guys in there for robbery, to murder, to burglary, to, theft crimes, and anything in between. There were some sex offender guys that had completed the sex offender program and moved into those regular general population units. But I was held in one of those units, one of those dorms, until, it's an open bay dorm. There's beds with cubicles, and you got a bed and 2 lockers in each cubicle, in your cubicle. And I was assigned to a regular housing unit until a bed opened up over in Cookchill. People go home from there. People go to the box, which is the hole, or administrative segregation, where you get in trouble, you get in a fight or something, they lock you up. But they're waiting for a bed to open up. Then once one did, I would go over to the cook chill dorm, and they put workers in there because we have weird hours. Some people had to be up super early, so that could create a problem in like one of the some of the other dorms, because you might be waking people up and that could create conflict. So, but they also gave us extra special perks like refrigerator. I'm trying to think if there were stovetops in there. I can't remember if we had stovetops. We had toaster ovens, microwaves, a refrigerator. I think there might have been a stovetop or two, if I remember right. Don't quote me on that. Could be wrong. But I know for sure we had a fridge. And, you get a little bit more privileges in that dorm. Like I said, because you got outside clearance. You're working for the state. You save the state a lot of money by paying, making us do the work rather than, like, civilians, So they're saving a ton of money by doing this and making their own food rather than, having civilians doing it or ordering it from other companies, And we did make decent state pay compared to your average prison. This is one of the better paying jobs in the state. There are other good paying jobs across the state. Some like the metal shop. I think of people that make like the license plates and stuff like that, and like furniture. There's a furniture trade, and some of the maxes. Those guys make good money, if I remember correctly. But we got paid pretty decent. I think we get I had surcharges, which is like when you get sentenced, they can hit you with fines, a court surcharge, like if you get convicted, a DNA fee, which is $50. Altogether my surcharges, I think, were just under $400. I think it came to like $380 something. So when you get your state pay, or if you get any money sent in from the outside, like from your family or your loved ones or your wife or whatever, they take a percentage. If you have two or more, what they call encumbrances, which is like, say you have a fine and you owe restitution. Say you rob someone for $1,000, you got to pay that $1,000 back. So if you have two or more encumbrances, they take all your money till at least one of them are paid off. If you only have one encumbrance, so say you pay off your restitution and you only owe surcharges left, they take I think 30% or something like that out of every money order you get, and a certain percentage from your state pay. And even with my encumbrances, I was still making, I think I was making close to $30 every 2 weeks, which is pretty good. That's for state money, that's really good. Most guys are only making like $5, $4, $6, $7, somewhere in that range. It just depends on what grade you were. There's grade 1, 2, 3 pay. It just all depends. But we got like a special pay because, like I said, you're doing a special type of work for the state. So, but anyways, let me get back on track here to the story. Until I was waiting to get into the cook chill dorm, I was basically in an overflow normal dorm where they kept regular guys and a few cook chill guys waiting to get in the cook chill dorm. And there was a guy in there named Lou. I won't say his last name, but he's passed away now. No disrespect to the man. Maybe he made things right with God after all this happened. Lou McRae. I found out he ended up passing away. He never made parole. He never went home. He had an 88 number, so that means he came up in 1988. I think he took his case to trial. I think he originally got locked up in 86. Took his case to trial, and it took about 2 years sitting on Rikers Island. He was from Brooklyn to end up finally coming upstate, and I was there in 2009. So at that point, he had been out for 21 years already. So as soon as I touched down in this dorm, this is L dorm I was in. L dorm, which the CO in that dorm was awful. He was the worst. He was a prick, straight prick. Would mess with people for no reason. Liked giving people a hard time. Was terrible. But I wish I could remember his name. God, if I seen him out on the street, I probably wouldn't punch him in the face, to be honest. But anyways. So when I first entered that dorm, mind you, I'm 20 years old. I got the baby face going. I look like a kid, Pull up. Within my first day or two of being in that dorm, Lou, and at this time he's probably about in his late 50s, probably 56-ish. Black guy from Brooklyn. He comes up to me and he's being friendly. He's like, man, you all right? I see you just got here from reception. You could tell because I didn't have anything. When you first get out of reception, guys that have been down a while, they usually got hoodies and clothes, different color clothes that you can get sent in packages, and thermals and different kinds of socks, and his family took good care of him. He had tons of food, he had cigarettes all the time. He was well taken care of. He always had everything he needed. Beanie hats, a baseball cap, sunglasses, like a radio. He had everything, You could tell he had been down for a while because he had accumulated a lot over the year. He had boots, Nike sneakers, stuff like that. And when I first pull up, Lou, he's being real friendly, man. He's like, where you from? I told him from upstate, around Niagara Falls, Buffalo area, close to that area. I'm actually from Alcott, New York, which is just outside of Lockport, which is very close to Niagara Falls. But anyways, he was like, oh, I know, I got some family up that way, da-da-da-da-da, they live in Rochester, blah, blah, blah. Trying to find a common denominator to talk and break the ice, like on what I thought was on a friendship level, being friendly, I'm like, oh man, this dude's cool, he's just an old timer, friendly guy, you know what I mean? He's been down a while, it's, seemed like a friendly old guy, and, while I was in there, I realized, he was like, man, you ever need anything, let me know, sometimes he'd give me a honey bun, he gave me a ho-ho, a pack of ho-hos, like, the little chocolate cakes, one time he made 2 sandwiches, with some deli meat and cheese and wheat bread and gave me that. And whenever you ain't got nothing, man, like that's a big deal. You're like, man, you're starting to get really hungry in there. You're waiting to get commissary. You're waiting for your money to follow you from Elmira to Oneida and make it into your inmate account. Like I said, plus I also had these surcharges, so they were taking a lot of my money. So when you first get upstate, it's a little bit of a struggle if you've got a lot of surcharges and stuff like that. And, until you get situated and start getting a little bit of clothes and, food, and if you smoke tobacco, that's a big deal in there. Coffee, things like that. Coffee's a big deal. You hook me up with coffee, cigarettes, whatever, And I didn't think nothing of it, you know what I mean? And when you go through Elmira, they give you a piece of paper, like the PreA. There's a paper that PreA gives you, PreA, which stands for Prison Rape Elimination Act, which basically tells you, if you ever see or are a victim of sexual assault while in prison, report it to staff, avoid gifts, someone gives you free gifts, or if someone's overly nice to you that you normally wouldn't associate with, just things to try to school you so that you didn't fall into that, you know what I mean? Because there's a lot of young cats in there that don't know the rules yet. Myself being one of them. I was very green, naive, and stupid at that time. And someone told me, like, yo, don't mess with him. He's a rapo. And I'm like, what's a, like a rapo? Nah, he's cool, man. He ain't ever gave off no weirdo vibes. He's never done anything, came off in a dirty way towards me or a sexual way in any capacity, And, always just friendly, man. Cool. I think we played Scrabble a few times and things of that nature. And like I said, this dude's got an 88 number, and I thought he had a murder case. And I noticed that because it's on all your clothes. All your state clothes has it. I noticed that. I'm like, wow, man. I asked him about a story. I think he told me he had a murder, and I found out that to be false later on, which I'll touch back on that later on. But, he told me he had a murder, and he keeps getting hit at parole. He's been hit at the parole board like 3 times. When I say hit, that means his parole got refused, and they would extend him 2 years out. You got to wait another 2 years before you can see the parole board again for consideration for release. And so, anyways, I'm building up this good rapport with him. There's a few other people in the dorm I'm cool with. There's this kid named T. He was from I can't remember where he was from. He was from near Rochester, I believe. Close to like outside of Rochester, black dude. But he was cool, He's alright, dude. about the same age as me, and he was kind of a goofball, but I was too at that point in time in my life, and which I can be a goofball now, but I know when to be serious and when not to be serious now, but he, so I mean, there's only a few people in there. There's a few, there's a few blood dudes in there, and I never had issues with the gangs, man. One thing about me is when I do my time, I always be myself. A lot of guys appreciate that. A lot of white kids come in there and try to be like, yo, 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 try to act like a wankster or a wigger, whatever you want to call it. Pardon my French if that's offensive, but that's just the term for it. They try to act like they're from the hood and they're not. You can tell they grew up in a, middle upper class family, or maybe a middle class family in the suburbs. Like, it's just totally out of character for who they truly are, and people can tell. People can tell. But I always being myself. Like, I was honest. I was in there because there were times I had a drug problem, and my drug problem led to me making poor decisions. Doing a burglary. Trying to rob a drug dealer, and but anyways, so I got cool with a few guys in there, and one night, it's in the evening time after all the programs and the yards ran and everything. Lou is sitting in the day room, which is where the TV is. People cook in there, play cards, play board games, whatever, all kinds of different stuff. The phones are in there. There's like booths where the phones are. And I say, hey, Lou, can I get a light? I think at this point I made it to commissary. I didn't have much, but I got some tobacco, a little bit of food, and hygiene, stuff like that. Hygiene's super important. Can't be stinking in there, Got some very basic things, So finally I had some tobacco on my own. It's like, hey, Lou, man, you care if I use your lighter real quick? Because I didn't have a lighter. For some reason, I don't know what happened to it, but for some reason I didn't have a lighter, but I had tobacco. And he's like, yeah. He pulls it out, he hands it to me. I go to the bathroom. Even though we're not supposed to smoke in the buildings, you technically can get written up, catch a ticket for it, and have a disciplinary hearing and all that different kinds of stuff. You're not supposed to, but we did. We smoked in there all the time. It was very common. Pretty much almost everyone did it. They smoked cigarettes. I go in the stall, I fire up, I smoke my cigarette, my little rollie at top, because they're cheaper. Most people in there smoke top because Newports and Marlboros are expensive. It's hard to maintain a habit if you're smoking, like filtered cigarettes, because they're way more expensive. At that time, they were like $6 or $7. They were a lot cheaper than they are now. Now they're like $10 to $15, depending on where you live. But anyways, I finished smoking. I go back in the TV room. Lou's sitting down with another old timer, black dude. I think they're just sitting there playing cards or something like that. I don't know what they were doing. Or maybe they might have just been talking, watching the TV. As they were watching the TV, just chit-chatting. And I go to hand it to him, the lighter back to him. And I'm going to demonstrate this to you. So when I go to hand this lighter to him, I pretend the lighter's in my, I wish I had something to demonstrate it with. I'll use this little remote. So I go to hand it to him. Ignore this string, I'll just do this. I'm handing it to him like this, just like you would if you were handing someone a lighter. And when I do that, this man, he's a grown man, he's got big, calloused old hands from working out for years and doing his prison job for years, leathery old hand mittens, he grabs my hand and boom, he grabs it like this. And when he does, he puts his finger in like that and grabs my hand very firmly. And he looks at me right in the eyes, and I'm like, oh my God, bro. Like, giving off real weirdo vibes. Like, he was insinuating he wanted something. I knew exactly what he meant when I did it. And so I let go of the light, I pull my hand away, and I just look at him like, what the hell, like, I might have even said, what the hell? I just looked at him like, and he looks at me like, just with a real serious look, like, I mean business, you know what I mean? Like, he wasn't playing, he wasn't joking. And I just kind of spin off and walk out of the TV room, the day room. I go to my cube and I'm just like stewing on it. I'm a combination of disgusted and angry and confused all in one. Like, I thought this dude was cool, man. He was being super cool to me. Like, so I've got this mixture of thoughts going through my head, like not knowing what to think, And the kid T, the kid that was from the Rochester area, He ends up coming over to my cue, see what I'm doing. We're just small talking. I tell him the situation, explain to him what happens, and he's like, "Oh hell no, dude, you can't let that slide." And a lot of guys in there, they'll do something called putting a battery on your back, or gassing you up or amping you up. And what do you when you put a battery in something? What does it do? It gives it power. It gives it life or energy. He was like, "Yo, you can't let him do that. He thinks he thinks you're a punk or whatever, man. You let that slide, man. Who knows? He might try to get you or whatever. He's like, you got to do something about that." And while this kid probably just wanted to see me fight, because like some people that's entertaining, at the same time he did kind of look out, man, because like the right thing to do was to address it. Like I couldn't let that slide, because who knows, if I let that slide, the next time he might come to my cube with a knife and try to demand something from me. If you get my drift. So I'm like, well, how should I do it? Like he had been down already. He had an 05 number. So he had been down like 4 years already. So he understood. He transferred to that prison the same time I did. We were on the draft bus together and stuff. We came in the same day together. And I'm like, how should I handle this? He's like, wait till they call programs and school and all that in the morning, and work details for different people. The dorm almost empties out because people are going to like anger management, all kinds of different jobs all across the facility. Some people work lawns and grounds, some people got GED, and so on and so forth. So the dorm is mostly empty. At that point, I hadn't been assigned a job yet. My job ended up being cook chill. You have to be given outside clearance and cook chill by the lieutenant or the sergeant, one of the two. They assign you that. I can't remember if it was the sergeant or lieutenant that gives you that job. They have to give you outside clearance and clear you for it. They do like a little interview. It's like real brief. They ask you a couple questions and give it to you. But so I'm waiting for that, which happens within like a week after that. And so in the morning we're just kind of chilling. We could have got up and went to the yard, or if we wanted to. After they do programs, they run the yard and stuff. And I stayed back. He's like, once they do programs. Lou is the porter for the dorm. The porter's the guy that sweeps and mops. Some people clean the bathroom. Certain ones clean like the walkways through where the cubicles are, where the beds are and stuff. His assignment was to clean like the day room and like right in front of the CO's desk, I think, sweep and mop it. He's like, wait till everyone leaves in the morning, and when he's in there, he's a porter. Whenever he's in there cleaning in the morning, go confront him, I'm like, all right, I'm a little nervous, man. Like, I'm not a big fighter at that point. Like, I'm not saying I am now, but I will fight. I'm not claiming to be a tough guy. But, if I feel threatened or someone's trying to hurt me or my friends or my family, like, I will fight. I absolutely will. I'm not scared to fight. Obviously, if someone pulls a weapon on you, like a gun or something, that's a whole different story. But, I've learned that you can't back down, man, especially in that situation. Here in the free world, sometimes it's good to walk away. You have the ability to walk away out here. And there, you don't really have that. You don't really have that. You know what I mean? Your reputation is everything in there. The way you carry yourself is everything in there. So he's like, yeah, confront him, man. Just go in there and tell him, you better not ever do it again. And I'm like, all right. I'm like, I got to do it. He convinced me and put that, that battery on my back, had me gassed up, and so the following morning, I don't think I hardly slept a wink that night because I was just so like frustrated and angry and like stressing over it, just thinking about it. And next morning they call programs, they call yard, everyone leaves. T stays back, because he wants to see the fight, he wants to see what I do about it, you know what I mean? And he was going to watch out for the CO, in case the CO, like if something did happen, like an altercation, he was going to watch out, And because like right on the wall, there's the CO's desk, there's a wall, and there's a little tiny window they can look through and just see in the day room. It's a small window, like, bam by bam or something like that, roughly. They can, just enough, they don't have to go in there, they can look in and make sure everything's cool. So the CO at that point in time, like, I think he had left the dorm briefly. Sometimes they'll go next door and talk to the CO in another unit. Like I think he went through like stairs outside the dorm. This has like little stairway to get up to where we were at. I don't know what he was doing, but he was kind of away from the desk at that moment. He's like, dude, this is the time to do it. Go do it. Go do it. I said, mind you, this is probably like 9:30 in the morning or something like that. So I walk in there, Lou's sweeping, or he's got the push room. I said, yo, Lou, there's one guy in there. He's over there on his typewriter. Looks like he's doing legal work, trying to like, put together an appeal or something like that. Dude named H. I remember he had gold teeth. And T's kind of standing out by the window, making sure that, the CO, but, that everything's cool with the CO, but also watching the window, watching through the window, watching us. And I walk up to Lou and I said, yo, Lou, I said, that shit you did last night, pardon my French, y'all, but I'm just being real with you. I said, that shit you did last night, that gay shit, I said, don't you ever do that again. He's like, I said, oh yeah? He leans the broom up against the pillar. There's like a pillar in there. Leans it up against the pillar. He gets up right in my face, about this far from my face. So what the you gonna do about it? And I was like, oh man, I'm like, I gotta do something. I gotta do something. So I shove him, I just boom, I shove him. He backs up and he throws his hands. He's ready, he's kind of doing this number, and he starts kind of inching towards me, and I just hook, boom, caught him. I caught him good too. I hit him pretty hard, man. And at this point, I'm not really in shape or anything like this, so I almost surprised myself, because this dude, he's a grown man, He wasn't gigantic, but you could tell he worked out some over the years, and he wasn't in bad shape. His glasses, he wore glasses, they shattered and went all over the floor, man, everywhere, and just busted them to pieces. And for some reason, I just felt so proud of myself in that moment. It almost shocked me. I'm like, did I just knock that man's glasses off his face, And that kind of made him mad. He comes up to me, he grabs me by my hoodie, and he, when he hits me, he's like, catches me. I kind of pull back and catches me here and here. I don't know if he was trying to avoid my face because he knew if we had bruises on our face, like we'd both go to the hole or something. I don't know if that was intentional, and he was kind of like, in a way, looking out, oddly enough. I could be wrong about that. He might have just, I kind of pulled back, and that might be where he caught me. I do know it kind of, he caught me pretty good. It hurt, man. Ended up kind of lumping me up right there by my ear. But I kind of shake loose and stand back up. I catch him with one more jab. And, H is over in the corner. T's over in the window like, oh! He's excited. He's not like making noise or nothing. But I kind of, I look. H is like, yo, I need to break it up. The CO's about to come through. And, T's like, he looks at it, he's like, yeah, chill. And, Lou's like, you know what, man? He's like, you got it, man. He's like, you stood up for yourself. I respect that. I'll leave you alone. It's dead. I'm like, all right. I'm like, dude, I'm not gay, man. I just said, I'm not gay, man. He's over there picking his glasses pieces off the floor, all the screws and little pieces that connected together. He's picking them up off the floor and everything, and he's like, I respect it, and what's crazy is I ended up a few people came back, word got around the dorm, people, H had told a few people, T had told a few people, so people were asking me about it, and a few of the blood dudes in there found out about it. And one thing I respect a lot about the Bloods and the Muslims in the New York prison system is they're very anti-predatory. They're against people that are like sexual predators, and rapists and people that try to be booty bandits. They're very, anti against that, And they asked me what happened, like the big homie in the dorm, he had dreads. He had a slight Jamaican accent. For the life of me, I can't remember his name. Tall dude, but you could tell he worked out over the years. He was strong, very strong looking dude. Came up to me like, hey, what up, little young brother? And I'm like, what's up, man? He's like, oh, what happened? So I broke the situation down to him, and he's like, oh, okay. He's like, don't worry about that. You'll be all right. We're going to take care of it. And a few of the Bloods, man, like 2 or 3 of the main big homies in there went and kind of pressed him about that. They're like, yo, that kid don't bother no one talking about me. He don't bother no one. He don't cause no trouble to no one, man. Like, you're not going to be doing that gay, predatory shit in this dorm, or you're going to be out of here. They pressed them, and then I had a friend named Chaos which I got a lot of love for that dude. He helped me a lot because I was so stupid and green. He schooled me a lot to how prison works. He went by the nickname Chaos, but I won't put his real name out there. I don't know if he'd want his real name out there, but he's from Newburgh. He, I told him about it. He was upset about it too, and he approached him in the yard, and he had his little banger, not his banger, his little razor with him, man, in case, he needed to slash him or whatever. He had it, like, melted into a toothbrush and showed it, But he pressed him in the yard, and, like, Luke kind of was like, yo, he's like, it's dead, man. I'm not going to do nothing. He stood up for himself. I respect it. If he leaves it alone, I'll leave it alone. You know what I mean? I'm like, all right, we just wanted to make sure everything's cool, everything's capiche. And he left it alone, man, and, that was a pretty, and later on I ended up going over to the cook chill dorm, getting outside clearance. We didn't get caught, fortunately. He had a little knot on the side of his face where I caught him with that first good hook. I had like a lump on my ear. It was nothing too crazy, but it just blew my mind, man. Within like a week or two of being there, someone's already trying me in a gay manner, like a sexual predator manner. And lo and behold, he wasn't in there for murder. I ended up finding out if a story's correct, I know he did like a predatory, violent RAPE. The woman he did it to allegedly was a cop's wife, if I remember right, or a police sergeant's wife in New York City. He pinned her down, and I don't want to get into the details, but he used a knife to force her to do what he wanted to do, to have his way with her, And it's horrible. He's a disgusting human for that. Hopefully he repented to God. I believe in God, and being repentant and made things right with God, and he's passed away. He died, I think, in like 2018 or 19. So, he did about 30 years roughly, give or take a year or two, and he passed away. I think he was in, what's it called, Otisville? Is that the name of it? Otisville? But yeah, he ended up dying in one of those facilities, and, that's, if I remember right, that facility's for older offenders. They send a lot of old timers there that are getting more advanced in age. It's kind of more of a laid back jail, prison. Not a lot's going on there, as far as wildness goes. But yeah, man, me and him actually ended up going to the pro board at the same time, like a little while later, some months down the road, and I made my board that day, and he got hit again, and he seemed like he was ready to go home, and it's like, maybe that incident between me and him showed he wasn't ready to go home. If he's trying to prey on a young, naive white kid that just came into the system, that don't know no better, that don't know nothing, that shows he's still got some of them tendencies in him, man. You know what I mean? And I'm not the judge, I'm not God, I'm not the parole board, but it makes you think, you know what I mean? It makes you think, like, was this man ready to be released in society? And he kept denying that he went to trial and lost. So, all the way through, he denied that he ever committed this crime. All the way through, the whole time. Every time he went to the parole board, and that one of the big things they want is for you to admit to your crime, and take ownership and show remorse. And he never did. It wasn't that he didn't want to show remorse, allegedly. It was, he claimed he never did it, which based off his behavior, I absolutely think he did do it. You know what I mean? The way he came about and the aggression behind it, you know what I mean? But yeah, that's what happened, man. And, there's other times I'll tell some other stories. I've been tried at other facilities I've been at, and I had to fight other times, but that one was just, my first few weeks upstate, got tried, man. And I could have dealt with that. Some people might have folded and gave in. Who knows, man? He might have put pressure on him, scared him, and took the booty from him, man. It's disgusting and sad, man, but that happens. Like, it's not as common these days as it used to be back in the 80s and prior to that, but it still does happen sometimes, A lot now, there's so many homosexuals in the facility, there's so much consensual stuff going on that people don't have to do that, But he might have been one of those sickos that get off on that kind of stuff. But anyways, that's what happened. And yeah, man, I learned a lot from that. Don't take gifts. If someone new comes to you in a friendly manner, they usually want something from you. And that could be, the cheeks. That could be they want some of your commissary. They might want you to do a three-way for them. They want something. There's something you can, they might want you to do a tattoo for them. If you're good with tattoos, they might want you to draw if you're good at drawing for them. There's all kinds of different things they could try to take advantage of you for, So always ask yourself, what does this person want? If someone you normally want to rock it with comes up to you and approaches you, and if they're overly friendly, you should be especially cautious, So that's a big takeaway. But you can avoid all these situations by staying out of trouble. Don't get locked up. If any young people are watching this, don't go to prison, man. It's not cool. Any rappers or anything that try to make it look cool, it's not. It's a horrible place. Terrible things happen there. And it can be traumatizing, man. So I can definitely say some trauma came from being in there. Some of the stuff I've seen and went through. And it messes you up, it changes your life. So stay free. Stay true. Stay you. Be real. And let's continue to grow together, just like the name of this channel. If you like this, please like, subscribe, follow, click the notifications. I love y'all, and I hope you have a good day. Peace.